Jesus.
Yeah, you're missing my shot.
All right. So hey everybody, welcome back to the channel. On this episode we are going to be getting in this 350Z. We're getting this project moving right along, getting it closer to the paint process. And basically what we're going to do in this episode is get all of our grinding done, get our seam seals in place, and get our undercoatings and things like that. We want to glaze over some of our welds. We want to get in there and seal up all that work we've done. We went through a lot of work getting this thing put back together, and the last thing we want is for this stuff to rust up on us later. So that's what the seam seals are for. That's what the undercoatings are for and things like that. We're going to put this thing back to as close to OEM as possible. We want a nice clean look when we're done. And remember, inside of this trunk, it's covered up with all kinds of trim panels. You don't see any of this work at all, but we still want it to look good, and we definitely don't want the metal vibrating and things like that. That's what the undercoatings and stuff like that is for. So let's get started. Alright, so now we're going to get in here with some Scotch-Brite, some different sandpaper, maybe some 320 grit, maybe even a little bit of 220 grit. Got the red Scotch-Brite here. We're just going to kind of go in here and just kind of scuff everything up. We want to get all this, I don't know if you guys can see that very well, with all this black stuff from where we welded it. All that was just the smoke coming up from the paint burning off and old seam seal, stuff like that. So we just want to go in and just kind of clean all that off. All the way around, all through here, get it all nice and clean, and then we'll be ready to start putting on that seam seal. All right, so I've got in here, cleaned all this metal up now. See if you can see that. That's all ready for seam seal. We actually got to put a little etch primer on there first because there's a lot of bare metal. You want to hit it with etch primer first, and then you'll put your seam seal on top of that actually. But it's all cleaned up now, ready to go. So we'll start that process next. Cool. This is our acid etch primer we'll be applying to all of our bare metal before we put the actual seam sealer on. The seam seal will actually go right over the top of this. You just want kind of just a light little dusting. All right, we're applying our seam seal now. We ran a little bit of tape around all the edges just to kind of give ourselves a nice clean edge when we peel the tape away. Not really necessary, just something we did just to kind of make it look nice when we're done. When it comes to seam seal, you want to apply this stuff kind of liberally. You want to get it in there and get it in all the little spaces, make sure it fills in some of the imperfections, and above all, you want to make sure it seals the panels. That is the whole point of doing this, is to keep the moisture from getting in between the panels, things like that. All right, well, unfortunately, we are out of seam seal. Only bought one tube. I thought that would get us through. It almost did. I mean, that's how much we got left. So, fortunately, we're gonna buy a whole nother tube just for that, but whatever. This is how far it got us. Got us all across the back of there. All this down in here is done now. I think it looks pretty good. I think it'll be fine. Once we put our coatings over the top of that, everything will look just fine. So there you have it on that. Now we need to get in here and do a little bit of body work to these areas here. Just a light coat of glaze. We'll go back, sand it back down, get it ready to prime in, and we'll do the same thing up inside the door jamb as well, up under there. Even though you don't see it, it's covered with the rubber and whatever. We're still going to go in and we're going to kind of dress that up, make it look decent. So that's where we're at now. Just going to get in and kind of feather back these areas here with some 80 grit sandpaper. So ran me a little tape outline through here just to keep things nice and clean, less sanding that way when I'm done, and this is kind of what you end up with here. That's our glaze. We'll go in and we'll knock all that back down, finish it off with about 120 grit, and then it'll be ready for primer. Got it like that all the way down the jamb. That just kind of helps keep it nice and clean, make it a little easier to sand when we get done here in just a minute. All right, everybody, that's what you end up with right there. Just a little bit nicer, cleaner surface to spray our paint on. We'll go in and we'll prime all that in after we get our seam seal in. Remember, we're out of seam seal, so we'll have to make an 80-mile trip there and back to get some more seam seal, but hey, that's how it goes. So anyway, that's how that is. We'll get all that primed in. It'll be a lot smoother, and you know, the rubber goes over this. You don't see any of it anyway, but whatever, man. We want to make it look nice. Some of this, you know, this gets a little piece of rubber over it as well, and then of course this all gets covered up with the rubber too. So, but it's a nicer, cleaner work. That's the way we did it in the body shop. That's the way I'm gonna do it here. Let's get our undercoating and things like that in here and see what that looks like now that we've got all of our seam seal in. Here's our undercoating here. This is called Sound Eliminator. It's paintable, rubberized, corrosion proof, and it dries quick. So that's the best part right there. We get this stuff dried up pretty quick. We're gonna go ahead and coat the floor. We're gonna coat both sides. We're gonna do the top and the bottom. Now remember, all this gets covered up with trim panels. You don't see any of this stuff. So, but we still wanna put this in there because we don't want the vibrations and things like that bare metal can do sometimes, especially like big floor pans and whatnot. So this will eliminate all of that. All right, we're gonna put a second coat on here. So hey everybody, I think that's going to get it on this video. Please like and subscribe if you haven't already. I really do appreciate you guys watching. Check out my Instagram, and we'll definitely put a link in the description as always. And thanks for watching. Stay tuned for some of these other builds. We've got a lot of projects going on, you guys. We'll be getting back on that Nissan hardbody before too long, so stay tuned for that. We also got the GMC. We're going to get that engine put back in, get that thing fired up, and get it a running again. So stay tuned for all that. Appreciate you guys watching. I'll see y'all guys later.